Welcome to our loyal and much appreciated agents and investors nationwide. Today is Thursday, September 17th, 2024. And this is the big one we've all been waiting for. This is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 500. 1 week delayed because of the hurricane, but we're going to try to make it worth your wait. We appreciate y'all being here today. Tim, before we get started with Thornton, Tim's got his confetti going on in the background there. Good job, buddy. Anything you want to share, Tim, before we get started?
Anything to make you happy, bud.
I know that. Thank you.
Go ahead and get Thornton. I understand he's pressed for time. Go ahead and get that. We've got some announcements to make later, but that'll take some time. So go ahead and get him started.
All right, excellent. Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with Thornton yesterday, and we almost every week we have success stories from our agents, from our realtors. He had one that was pretty impressive from one of our longtime investors. So I asked him to come on the call and share. So Thornton, brag a little bit about that one lead you turned into several $1 million, please.
Not quite yet, but we're getting there. So
All right.
yeah, I had the pleasure of speaking with Jim yesterday. I've been client of All the Leads for about a year and a half now. I buy data for I think 7 counties. And then we massage it and it works pretty well. But I shared this anecdote with Jim yesterday, and he mentioned to me that he had a mastermind going, and it was the 500th episode, and figured he'd like me to come in and share. So took some time out of my day to be here. So I think it was a June lead that came through the system. And we marketed to the decedent to purchase his father's home that was built. I don't know if you guys know Atlanta. That's my market. It's in a very, very nice neighborhood of Atlanta. The houses in that neighborhood sell for about $1 million, in updated condition. So we got the house on contract. We went to walk it, put it under contract on the walk for $620. And it'll be about $125,000 to $150,000 in a renovation for a $950,000 to $1 million sale. So we felt pretty good about that. Heart was racing a little bit getting that contract signed. And as we were sitting at the kitchen table, inking the contract, the seller looks at me and says, "Hey, I've got 4 other plots of land here in Atlanta that belong to my dad that didn't show up on the probate data that I got." And I said, "Well, yeah, I'd love to take a look at those too." And he's like, "I've also got 3 plots of land in Highlands, North Carolina, totaling just over 300 acres. And Highlands, North Carolina, if you guys don't know, is like the Aspen, Colorado of the East. It's a very, very nice, extremely high dollar vacation destination in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it is absolutely gorgeous. A lot of people in the Atlanta circles that make quite a lot of money have vacation homes out there. So I looked at the plots of land, the 4 of them in Atlanta. I took the data from him and went home to look at him because I couldn't do my research in front of him. It'd take a little bit too long. But went home. He had 3 infill lots in Clarkston, which is an area of Atlanta that's not fantastic. But we got those. I'm like, "How much do you want for them?" He's like, "Well, just the assessed value is fine," which was like $6,000 a piece for a residential lot. And we got 3 of them all lined up in a row. So we get to, they're in a floodplain, but we're working around that. Since we have all 3 in a row, our development cost gets lowered and we can build 3 houses all at once, about 2,500 square feet each. We're going to do very well there. And then there was another plot of land in Sandy Springs, which is a suburb north of town. But this is in a development, no HOA, but 1.5 million homes. Extremely, extremely high end. And this plot's a little interesting, but we got it for $70,000. It's assessed at 84. And by my math, it's worth around 300 something. So we took it under contract, and in our contract, our standard boilerplate, we're allowed to market the property for sale. So effectively wholesaling it, but we put it up on the MLS. And we got a contract at 270, and we're going to close on November 15th for a $200,000 profit on a plot of land that I didn't even initially reach out about. So that's going to go pretty well. And then additionally, if all that wasn't good enough, the land in North Carolina, 300 acres, about 30 of those acres are buildable and developable. And so we're currently putting together a site plan with the county to come up with a development with 31-acre plots. And we're going to develop 30 homes out there with a partner, local developer out there that my business partner just so happens to be associated with. Luck of the draw there. But yeah, so off of one lead, we're going to build 33 houses, sell one plot of land, and flip one. And that's just one lead that, Jim's company was able to furnish to me. And I mean, yeah, the power of probate leads is it's strong, especially if you're an investor.
What's your ROI on that? About 1,000,000%, it sounds like. On that one lead.
Well, I mean, I pay you a lot of money, my friend. 7 counties a month, every month.
I know. I think
yeah,
that might have paid for the
ROI
lead.
is very good. It's just the unfortunate side effect is it's tying up all our capital for next year. So
that's a good problem. I saw
Good
Bruce
problem to have,
shaking
for
his head
sure.
because Bruce is in North Carolina. Bruce, I think you knew that area he was referring to, right?
A little bit. It's 5 or 6 hours from me.
Oh, okay. Got it.
A little far. It's
Thornton,
about 5 or 6 hours for me too.
Yeah.
it really ties in well to something Tim's going to talk about shortly, but we always say work your local leads, but don't ignore the ones out of the area. And we also tell our subscribers, ask that extra question. You got anything else you want to sell? I don't think you even had to ask it. This guy volunteered.
No, he just totally volunteered the information. And normally when I'm on a property walk looking at a house and someone says, "Oh, I've got this plot of land," it's just a sliver out off the highway and it's disgusting and it's not worth my time. So when he was like, look at this, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll look at it. Then I got home and I'm like, wait a second. But yeah, it worked out really well. And to your point of always not being afraid of the out-of-state leads, actually, now that it comes to mind, I have a property in Florida that came through one of your leads. I talked to her for 18 months before she finally decided to move on the property. But my CRM, I have it all set up, auto follow-ups and stuff. So we were getting in touch with her once every 60 days or so. But we close on that on the 27th of October. So it would have been just over 2 years of me talking to her. Wait, maybe not 2 years. Maybe it was a year talking to her and then 6 months to close. So because she was in the first month of leads that I started buying from you, I got this house. But yeah, it's in Florida and we got a property management company in. They're going to take care of the whole renovation. I'm not even going to see the property until it's done, or probably never actually. And we're either going to sell it or keep it as a rental. So pay attention to the out-of-state stuff. It can pay dividends.
Well, that's great. Other coaches, any of you guys have any questions? Thank you, Thornton, for being here. I really appreciate it. I told you I'd let you go first. Any comments or questions for Thornton before we let him go? Joy has her hand up. Can you unmute yourself, Joy?
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, the whole concept is new to me. I'm trying to figure out how you represent yourself and how you get that through the court. If it's below market, those two major things seem to me to be huge hurdles. And
represent myself to whom?
Oh, to the seller. Yeah, to you got this through a probate, right? Is
Yes,
that right?
I did.
So it was taken out of the court system, right? I'm trying
So
to
the probate
integrate that.
settled. And generally I find that that's most of the houses that I'm able to buy is when the probate has been completed and all of the paperwork has been filed. Now to my, and like the probate is over. But to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, Jim, but I've done this in the past. I can buy it directly from the probate since the probate is a legal entity. And then that cash would just go into the probate instead of going to the executor or whomever is on the deed.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And
So
Joy, to reference what I think you were referencing, the initial property was in probate, but all the rest of it was not. It was
no. All the rest of it was in probate. As a
Oh,
matter
it
of fact,
was okay. My
the
mistake.
land in North Carolina was in a North Carolina probate, so it was a whole different probate.
Okay.
But
I thought the administrator or the executor, depending on whatever the situation was with the will, I thought they have an obligation to not to sell the property at a market that's lower, a market value that's lower.
They can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if you come in with like a super low ball, and it's not, and the probate hasn't been completed yet, you have that attorney that's associated with the probate that's going to have to look at it. And the attorney will be your worst enemy by saying like, hey, but I find that most of my success, 80% of my probate success, comes from probates that have been completed. Because there's a lot of misconceptions out there that people can't sell in the probate process, which you totally can. But me marketing to the seller, so me reaching out cold and then being like, trust me, I'm a trustworthy guy. Like it's kind of hard to explain to them like, oh no, actually you can sell it during the probate, even though everybody tells you you can't. So I find it's not even worth it to throw that sales pitch out and just wait until everything has been settled. And then it's off to the races at that point.
Well, then do you represent yourself to the seller as just a private person? I'm just trying to picture how you.
So I'm an investor at large here in Atlanta. So all the leads and probate leads are just one of many, many, many streams of data that we get every month. So there's several DBAs. So Piedmont Renovators is one of the DBAs that we use. Drury and Mercer, my business partner, Chad Mercer. That's another one that we use for a little higher dollar business to business transactions. But we have a website built with all the testimonials and the as seen on Fox News and ABC and all that fun stuff. So we're very we represent ourselves as an investment group because that's what we are.
Okay, so I could take that model as a private person in the world and just say I'm an investor. Is that the theory?
100%. So if you go to carrot.com, that's a fantastic pre-built real estate investing website offering. It's expensive, sure, but I mean, it's so easy a caveman could do it. You can set up your branding there. All the pages are pre-written for you. You just go in and modify it to your liking. And then, just having that web presence and like a Google listing, and all that fun stuff that really like it shows credibility to the sellers, because sellers, rightfully so, with one of the, most valuable assets that they're ever going to touch, they don't just want to sell it to some Joe Schmo off the street. So you kind of got to do a good job of representing yourself and, letting them know that like, hey, we really do this. This is not a scam.
So do you do your own comps and out of state other?
So yeah, I obviously have access to the MLS for all of Georgia. So 95% of the properties that are going to come across my desk, I can go in and do the comps myself. But for properties out of state, it's a little harder. So my playbook for out of state stuff, as an investor, not as an agent, is to call a property management company with more than 300 doors under management out there. Because if they have over 300 doors under management, then most likely they have an in-house maintenance team, an in-house turn team. And by turn, I mean just doing the rehab and refreshing it in between tenants, and in-house agents, right? So I can get my MLS access and MLS data from them. They can bid out the renovation and rehab of the product for me. And they can also execute the renovation and rehab of the project. And if I want to, I can keep it as a rental with them and just own a rental out of state in a market that I'm not really associated with. Or I can sell it to one of their many, many, many clients. Because as you know, they have, 100 different clients, and odds are one of them is looking for another property. So I can sell it to them pre-rehab, post-rehab, however, or I can list it on the open market with them. So I feel like finding a high producing property management company in whatever external market is a fantastic game plan.
Sure, that's wonderful. If you're just starting out, though, I can't imagine what I would do. I can't do your model.
I did.
What is it?
I said,
what'd you say?
That's what I did.
You started out? You mean you contacted a property management when you just first started out?
Well, I mean, you have to have a property first, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and then if you have the property, there's nothing disingenuous about reaching out and chit-chatting because you have a legitimate business proposition for them.
But you wouldn't do that out of state if you didn't have any, if you needed somebody to do comps, you wouldn't be able to do that. Call up a property management out of state and ask them to do that.
Not unless you had a full faith effort or full faith ability to like work with them. If you're just using them for their MLS access, then I think that's kind of shitty.
Sure.
But there's a software called PropStream that I use.
Oh, yes. And Privy. I just remembered there's Privy also. Privy.
I'm not familiar with Privy.
That's all right. But yeah, PropStream. Yeah. Well, you can do comps with PropStream.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, you can. It's not totally perfect data. I'd say it's like 70% of the way as what MLS would get you, but it's enough. It gives you enough information to be dangerous.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your time. That's very helpful. It's marvelous what you're doing. Yay. Yay. It's fabulous.
Working real hard for a long time.
Terrific.
Steve, you had a comment or a question?
And Jim, I penciled you in till 10 or till 1:30, so 9 more minutes.
Okay. Oh, awesome. I appreciate it, man. Steve, you had a comment?
Yeah, just want to say, hey, great work, Thornton. I think the key here, and Bruce should correct me if I'm wrong, is, once probate's been done, it's not that the attorney doesn't care about his client, but it may be in their best interest, even if the house was below market value, depending on the work that needed to be done on it, and you made an offer. I mean, they could have easily told you no. Okay, but it sounds like you nurtured it, you worked it, and given where it was, I mean, obviously, if it wasn't something that wasn't going to work for you, you wouldn't have made that offer. And likely for them too, if they weren't sure what they were going to do, or the longer they hold on to what their holding costs on that home.
Even with no debt, I forgot to mention this part. The house we're buying on owner financing, so we got 2% interest on it, with no down payment. So
there you go. If you assume a loan, right?
Not even assuming a loan, because there was no debt on the property. Okay. It's free and clear, yeah. So we got owner financing on it, 2%, which is insane. But I didn't even throw out the 620, 630, whatever it was number. The seller threw that out. And I was like, yeah, we could sign that.
Sure. Well, I mean, it sounds like you brokered a deal that was good for both of you. And again, the attorney at this point, if they're good with it, it's outside of probate, they're not really going to poke at you.
The only attorney that I've had contact with in this whole process has been the North Carolina attorney, because that probate is still ongoing. And I try to avoid working with attorneys when I can, because it just complicates things. But yeah, it can still be done.
Right. Well, I mean, I will say though, transparency helps, and I think Bruce would.
Oh yeah, agree. Definitely be transparent.
Sure that, hey, we don't want you to do
if you're doing anything that you feel ashamed about, then you're doing something wrong.
Right. Okay. No, it's great work.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce. Tim, anything to add, or should we? Okay.
I'm only going to add one quick thing. Some people here are in certain states where the court does have a say. If you're in probate, the court does have a say on how low or high you need to be on your price. North Carolina is not a state like that. Georgia is not a state like that. Most states aren't. California, they like to butt in sometimes and tell an individual seller in probate that's the only heir what they're allowed to sell for sometimes in certain situations. So I want everyone to recognize that if you're in a state like that, the court might try to butt in and tell you what you can sell a house for, but most of us don't have to worry about that.
I didn't know that was a thing. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, there's a when issue. There are circumstances where, one of the things that you said was, you just as soon wait till it gets all closed and the probate's done and everybody knows what they're doing. And the reality is when a personal representative has got full authority to sell, they can enter into a contract, they can, do what they want to go do. Potentially they won't necessarily be able to fully tender and close until it's done, but sometimes they can even do that. It just depends on the state and the circumstance. So the only thing I would add is that, if you're going to do business in a different state and you're going to handle it, you're going to try to be doing it with the long arm. You need to know as much as you can about that market. So do some research into the legality of that. Talk to the people out there that you're working with and get some straight answers from them about what is and isn't possible in that state. You're great looking in the states you're in, but we're all over the country. So there are a lot of places that everything's not the same all over the place. Local options apply, unfortunately.
Hey, Thornton, thank you so much. We have something called Winner of the Week. It's pretty safe to say
Am I the winner of the week?
You're going to get a discount on your next set of leads. Make sure you.
All right, appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you for
All right,
being here,
guys.
man. We
Happy
appreciate you.
500.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy
Take care.
500.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Tim?
What do you mean? You need to start off on the 500. You need to talk a little bit about that, and then I'll talk about our toy.
On the 500?
You're wanting to give something away, dude.
Oh,
It's the 500
yes.
call, Jim.
Yeah, you want to put up that screen? Do you have a screen for it, Alyssa, or not? Okay, there we go. 500. Alyssa just posted a link. Our 500th episode giveaway, and let me go there so I know what I'm going over. All right, so we are giving away 3 prizes in honor of our 500th call. First place will be a $500 credit towards anything All the Leads offers. Second prize is $300, and third is $200. And to be eligible, go down. How do you win? To be eligible, you get 1 entry for filling out the registration form that Alyssa is posting. You get 1 entry for showing up on today's call, so you guys are all in. And anything you purchase from All the Leads before next Thursday's call, you'll receive an additional entry. And then show up next Thursday and find out who won. You do have to be on the call next Thursday.
You were so close.
I was so close. What did I miss?
So close. So if they want to get that second entry, they need to make sure that they put their info into the chat, and we'll give them additional entry. That'll get them the third entry. But the reason that we're asking for that is that some of you who are on the Zoom call, we don't have your email address. We don't know who you are. So if you want to be and get that third entry, put it into the chat and we'll add that to the hopper. Otherwise, we won't know who you are. So that's the issue.
And same if you are watching on a stream on YouTube or Facebook, you can also get the entry if you comment your name and email in any of those chats as well.
And the only other caveat is we're gonna force you to spend it all at once. We're trying to do this without adding a bunch of bookkeeping on our side or your side. So whatever you get, we'll work with you when you're ready to spend it, and we'll get it done all at once. Whether you want to do it on leads or mailing or anything else that you want to do, we'll be delighted to work with you. But we're going to try to get it all done and clean it out in one shot rather than trying to add it as credits and make it more complicated than it needs to be. Everything that you try to do these days is complicated. So we're trying to keep things simple. My wife has been.
Tim, you could spend it on a website. I meant to mention when Thornton was mentioning the very expensive website, we could do the same thing for you, much less expensively. So you could spend it on a website if you wanted to.
Yeah, for sure, that's the case, and that's what we're here to work with you for. But we're delighted to do it, and I see a bunch of people putting their data in there, and we'll be happy to get you and get your data in there. And then next week, when we're on this call next week, we'll draw, and somebody's gonna get some dough and do some more great things with themselves, and maybe find another deal just like our previous speaker did. So that's a very cool thing that we're doing, and it is what we came up with. Unfortunately, we were trying to do something really elaborate, and we had some awesome plans, but Helene and Milton sort of conspired to make us do something very simple. So we did, and I tied into, I was getting ready to say earlier, my wife's been saying the same thing. Gotta simplify things these days. Everything gets so complicated, and so we're having challenges doing that in our lives. So that's why we're doing it this way. Make it easy on us. Anybody have any questions about that? If not, I'll just add one other thing. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the new toy that we've made and how it will work for you. And it ties right into what we just talked about. We've given you an easy button. If you have anything to say and you want to talk with us, bottom of your screen in Zoom, you see something there. Should see something called raise hand, reactions, whatever it is on yours. I don't know what your client looks like, but click the button, raise your hand, and your hand will go up and you'll be the next person that we'll talk to. So we talked before about, how to monetize options that you may not work. And a lot of times you go through your leads and you get down through it and you see that, you live in Jacksonville and there's an opportunity in Phoenix, Arizona, and you're like, I don't know anybody in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm going to pick low-hanging fruit next. Well, that's great, except that as you just heard, there are opportunities in Maricopa County and in Phoenix that you might be walking away from that could be massive. So we're trying to give you a way to do this the easy way. And from our standpoint, we're going to do it the easy way to begin with. And then as this matures, we'll be adding some pieces to this. I'll give you a little bit of a background for it, and I'll explain it to you. We actually, about 10 years ago, created a screening set of software for a commercial realtor. And that realtor had agents all over the country that posted deals to them. And they would go out on places like LoopNet and places like that. They would scope some deals out. They made them get some additional information, qualify the info, and put it in. And we created a screening criteria for them that was actually an artificially intelligent sort of decisioning process that would bubble the good stuff to the top. And on those deals, then they would get into more detail. They'd make the phone calls and decide if it was something that on a national basis, the company with the money that had the ability to make the deals would go forward and do that. So we've been talking for, I don't know, at least 5 years about doing something similar with all of you guys. We know that it's an opportunity there. And we finally got around to, getting it done. And we're simply, made something called Matchmaker. So it's at alltheleads.com/matchmaker. And it's a deal referral matchmaker. And all that's necessary for you to do, we give you a little hype about why you ought to do it and all of that sort of stuff. And we give you the information to put in. If you've looked at your deal, take you 5 minutes to put the info in. And all you got to do is do that and hit the submit an inquiry and off you go. And at that point, right now, we've got human eyeballs that will look at the information you put in. They'll look at the deal itself. We'll go out and in our wealth of people, of the 15,000 or so folks that we have in our database of folks we work with, we'll find the ideal candidate to work with you in that non-local marketplace. Or, as Jim will also tell you, it doesn't have to be out of your market. It could be it's a commercial deal you don't necessarily want to work, or a short sale. We cover all of those entities within this program. You just put the deal in that you don't either want to work or you don't feel capable of working, or you're inexperienced and you're getting started. You want to put something in and make some money. You paid for the leads, go monetize them. And so that's what this is all about. It's an easy button for getting that done. And the math is really, kind of awesome about it. If you had a $300,000 deal or $300,000 house, and you could potentially make $1,800 on that for filling out the form, take 3 minutes of your time, make $1,800. That's a pretty good payoff on your 3 minutes there. And the math is simple. If it's a $300,000 house, 3% of that, which would be the listing side, if you got 20% of that, which is kind of a standard referral fee, that's going to get you $1,800. And if they got both sides of the deal, they double in the deal, that could be as much as $3,600, all for filling out a form. So we're going to do the work for you to begin with. As this matures and we learn what's necessary to make this easy and automatable, we'll do the same thing. And we want to use this as a clearinghouse. And that's really what we designed it for. We're going to do it physically to start with, and Jim and his team will work on this data when it comes in. And over time, we'll build this into an automated process. Won't look any different to you, but we won't write a bunch of software on it until we kind of see what we need to do to make this most applicable in terms of exporting the data and finding that match for you. We're not asking people to qualify yet to be in the match, because we're going to be working with the people that we know right now. And over time, we'll have people actually qualifying to be on the other end of this, and potentially even bidding on the leads that could come in, because these leads become highly valuable to them. So if it started at 20%, it's possible that number could migrate higher over time. Anyway, that's the gist of this program. It's real simple. It's at Matchmaker. It's at alltheleads.com/matchmaker. We're excited about it. It's something that we've been asked for forever and ever and ever. And we're proud to offer it to you today. Jimbo?
Yeah, the only thing I would add, you kind of covered the exceptions. Although the form says out of area, it obviously could be an in area deal. I got a call last week from one of our people. He was a wholesaler in Northern California, had something under contract in Southern California. Didn't know anybody down that way. I got one of our subscribers on the line. He sent somebody out there. The first person that looked at it bought it. The guy who referred it got $10,000. The agent made the commission, and his buyer got a good deal. So when Tim says you don't have to qualify the deal, you don't really, because we have realtors and investors. I mean, don't put something in there that this person wants 300 and it's worth 250. We're kind of wasting each other's time. But use common sense. If it's a at market deal, we'll try to find a listing agent, and it's not in your market. It could even be a wholesaling deal. If you're a wholesaler and you got something under contract and it is a good deal, if you don't have a buyer in your market like the one I just referenced, we'll go find it for you. In the past, we've always, when we had an occasional reference to these type of deals, we'd just say, well, go to our All the Leads Mastermind and put it in there. And that's just too hit or miss. Tim and I, after working with all of you for the last dozen years, 11, 12 years, almost any major market in the country, we have a highly experienced person that's been with us a long time. So we're gonna save you the trouble of finding the best person in the area. We're gonna go find them for you. And Joy, you had a question? Joy's our question lady today. Unmute yourself, please.
You gotta click our button, bud.
Did it work?
It did now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm wondering, so what you're talking about now doesn't have to be a probate, right?
Oh, no. Any deal you run into in the course of your business.
Okay. And then it could be a referral fee, or is there another way that I would be worked with, or is this just a handover to somebody else?
You're handing it off to the person in the other marketplace to do the actual work. Whoever's going to do the work is going to make the deal. You're going to get the referral fee.
So that's what it would be. That's all I would be doing, is just giving it to someone else, and then I would get a referral fee.
Ma'am.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Oh, that's great. Good question. And absolutely, that's the case. We're trying to make it easy for, literally in some cases, it's designed for, folks like you who are kind of just getting started with this market niche and aren't really sure necessarily how to proceed. And a deal that you find outside of your normal area of expertise, you're probably not going to pursue initially. And we're trying to make it easy to do that. That's kind of the idea.
So it could be any kind of property. I mean, for example, I have an RV park, for example, in Texas.
We have a great RV partner that would be happy to talk to us about that.
We've got one.
Okay. So I would what do I do? Fill this thing out?
Yeah, fill the form out.
Right away. Is that right? And then somebody will be contacting me. Is that the way it works?
Somebody will contact you if we find a match. If the person that looks at it and we look at it and we think it makes good sense, then we'll try to find a match. And if If it's the right person, then we'll put them together. And before your lead gets into their hands, we'll put them in touch with you. We'll put some sort of referral agreement together between you and them. You guys can do that, and off we go.
Okay. And if you need more information than what I put in, or if I don't put it in properly or something,
Just put
then
it
you
in.
will.
Right now, don't worry about all that. Just put in what you have. And if we need more, we'll contact you.
Oh, good. I'd like to do that right away.
I'd like for
Great.
you to do that. That'd be great.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
And Tim, you touched on it just briefly. Short sales are making a bit of a comeback in some areas of the country. So it could be a short sale. My wife's done over 2,000 of them. I'm pretty sure I know who I'll refer that to. But yeah, she'll handle the whole short sale for you. And in this environment, the one thing she's running into, the banks don't have short sale departments anymore. So you really need somebody who knows what they're doing, who's done a bunch of them. In some areas of the country, there's none, but she's seen her business probably quadruple this year over last year. There are more out there in some areas of the country. So almost anything. We're not going to say no to anything. If it's a commercial shopping center and you're a residential agent, we do have funds that would participate in funding the deal or possibly buying it. So nothing's too big or too small. Just send it over and let us take a look at it.
And it's also a circumstance where if you find a piece of property that somebody's in, and, oftentimes in a short sale situation, they still want to stay in it. They would like to find a way to get that done. And even in a probate, they may need to do something and stay in the house. There are people certainly who will buy that property and lease it back. I mean, a lot of people are interested in doing any of those things. So don't discount, don't make the decision yourself, put the deal in.
Yep. Steve, you're having too much fun there. His dog's licking his face.
All right. Any questions about any of that? We'll be happy to take them, and certainly about anything else that you guys want to talk about that's important. Happy to do that. Mr. Bruce, what's going on in your world, buddy?
What is happening? Man, nothing like a 500th coaching call. No, we're just plugging along, working on tracking KPIs and perfecting our call approach and putting deals together. That's all. You guys are gonna laugh. I've actually been pushing back into a little bit of production here lately too. It's too tempting. So
Hey,
that's
Bruce, I don't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, finish, and then we just had a texted question I wanted to answer.
interrupt away.
Okay, Sarah just asked referral fees to realtors and non-realtors. It depends. Obviously, to get a referral fee, you got to be a licensed agent. If it's an investor, you can work out some kind of a co-op deal. But again, we'll address that on an individual basis. But we're not going to let you do anything that's going to jeopardize your license. Tim?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, yeah, the same thing is true. I guess I would put this in a more direct way. Don't overthink this. Put your deal in. Let us work with you on it. We put this up to get some experience in doing it. That's kind of why I prefaced it by saying in the beginning that, we're going to get some experience as we go, but you plop the deals in. Jim is the matchmaker. He doesn't have his matchmaker hat on today, but Jim's the matchmaker, and we'll send him out to go find you the right person to work with, and he'll find a person that can get the job done for you and guide you through what needs to get done in the beginning. And as we do that, that'll be something that we'll build into the system on a going forward basis to make sure that we get that done on a more automated way as we go forward. Joy, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, one more. How do I contact you guys if I need to, as I'm sure I will at some point? I don't know how to reach you.
Are you a subscriber?
No, I'm just coming for the first
It'd be a really
time.
good way. It'd be a really good way to contact us is be a subscriber.
Well, okay.
Go to all the leads.
I have to buy a subscription, right?
Go to alltheleads.com. You don't have to be a subscriber to get our help. Go to alltheleads.com.
Or you
Well-
can email support@alltheleads.com. You can go to the website and chat there, whatever's easiest for you.
Support@alltheleads.com.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you so much.
But
Sure.
start before you call, put something into the form so we've got something to talk about.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Good enough. Mr. Amelia, how are you today, my friend? Matt, are you live there, buddy?
Yep, I had to unmute. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. What's new in the world of appointments today?
Yeah, so I was really excited about last week. I was going to announce it because I rushed our team to get it done, but obviously the hurricane had different plans. So, in really good news, we have an entire chat function now on our site. So if anybody has questions 24 hours a day, they can reach out to us, and then if it's after hours, you could schedule a call with us directly, which is great. So that's on our ATL onboarding site. And then I also created an entire training system for all of our clients so that they can get the most out of the appointments after they get set, whether it's an appointment or a nurture, how they would go about handling the touching base with them, how to essentially stalk them on social media and friend them and kind of stay in touch with them, see what's going on in their day to day. And I put a whole system of training on for that I think is going to be massively valuable for everyone that has calling. So whether we're calling or someone else, I think it'll be really good for it'll be good for everybody. So that way they can stay in front of these leads and turn more of them into closed deals.
I have to say this, and it's really awesome great news to hear that. And I got to tell you guys, probably the most responsive third-party vendor I've ever worked with is Matt. Appointments Today has been, we selected them as a good referral partner for making the calls for you. That's what they do. Some of you may not know that because you're new on the call. That's why Matt is always here on these calls. He runs the company. And whenever we have a request of something that we think will make things better in regard to it being easier for you, he's quick to get that done. 2 weeks ago, after our call, I think was when he and I spoke, and I said, we're getting some people who say, they're having some challenges getting in touch with people, or the communication needs to get improved. And the result of that was that before the next call, he already had that done. He had the chat turned on, which we talked a little bit about when he and I talked. And then he was already working on some training stuff that he was getting done. And they just get stuff done quick. They're responsive. They're all over trying to make things work well. And, I can't say too much that I can't say good enough things about their response to getting stuff done. Our customers enjoy the relationship. They're having great success. They're putting people into categories they weren't in before. They're nurturing leads through a longer process, and a very economical way to get this job done. So for those of you who are, your biggest problem, which is a lot of realtors these days, investors as well, making that phone call is not your favorite thing in the world to go do. It is their favorite thing in the world to go do. They do a great job at it, and they have great success. So, Matt, I know that sounds like I'm blowing smoke up your skirt, but your skirt deserves to be smoky.
No, I appreciate it more than you know. And just so everyone knows, we're also creating 52 weeks of content. This is something that I just felt compelled that needed to be done because there are so many people that once they get an opportunity, they're like, well, where do I go from here? And so I think the most important thing is understanding that proximity is the power that you need, having that proximity to the prospect. And when they think of selling their home, whether it's probate or whatever it is, they need to think of you as the number one go-to. So we're working on putting all of that together with the help of some people that are much more well-written than I am, and also and a little bit of help with ChatGPT as well. But I appreciate that more than you know, and I'm just grateful to I'm grateful to be able to help.
Well, we appreciate you a bunch, man, and again, like I said, if you guys haven't had the chance to talk with them and you're interested in having them at least, certainly consider the opportunity to do that, I just can't tell you. It's always going to be a good experience in terms of that process. They're nice people to work with. So make sure that you do that. And if you want to get to it easily, learn more about it, just go to alltheleads.com ISA, and that'll get you right to where you need to be, and you can certainly talk with them. And Alyssa popped something up from Seth. Alyssa, is that a person on the call, or is that coming from somewhere else?
Yes, he is on the call.
Okay. Seth, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. I'll find you on here. Alyssa, if you can hunt him down there, I see him. Seth, if you'll unmute yourself, there you go. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, and if you'd be good enough to help me understand a little bit better, we'll try and answer your question.
Yeah, hang on, can you hear me? Can you see me now?
Yep, hear you fine.
Okay, yeah, this is my first time. I just talked to you guys the other day about divorce leads, the new option that you guys came out with here recently. That's why I was joining the call.
Sure.
I'm definitely looking to get into that here in Southern Indiana, and I have my license in Alabama as well. But I was just curious. My question was, do you guys you were mentioning partners with the other lady you were just talking to about who they may just, buy houses or properties that are different or whatever. Do you guys have any partners or investors as part of your group that work with realtors like me on like instant offers? Because that's something that my area doesn't have a whole lot of. And I was just curious.
Define specifically what you mean.
Well, you see realtors that say get a cash offer on your house today. And I'm always looking, I've been looking for someone that deals with that kind of thing, that would basically do the buying of the property, work with me, and I would sell it locally. There's only one person that does it in my area here in Indiana. And I was just curious if any of your investor partners do anything like that. If not, no big deal. I just thought I'd ask.
How big is your area, Seth?
Southern Indiana is it's not a great market. Evansville, Indiana, where I live, is the third largest city in Indiana. So it's not Indianapolis, it's not Chicago, but it's a decent market, and it's very underserved, especially in the divorce niche, and that's what I'm trying to get into. But there's only one company. It's an independent broker that funds it himself, as far as like the cash offers go that you see on billboards and things like that. And I was just curious. I have my big convention coming up in Las Vegas next week, and I'm going to try to find somebody there inside my network at Real, where I work. But anyway, I just thought I'd ask while I was here if you guys have anybody that works with realtors in that kind of situation.
So, Tim, do we have anyone, or do you want me to kind of take how to find them?
You can certainly take it on, and we do also have folks that could work with it. If you have a deal, again, I would say the same thing I said earlier. Put it into the system and let us go find you somebody to partner up with and get that done. And there are also lots of ways that you can do that and potentially not have to go find that person. And Bruce, you may be wanting to talk about that as well. So go ahead, Bruce.
I think your first line of attack is going to be put any deal that you have into the system, and specifically say I need an investor that can provide a cash offer. There's a bunch of investors on here that, even though it might not be in their backyard, I bet they'd be willing to do it if you could show justifiable support for why they should buy or make an offer on your property. There's probably dozens of people that are hearing this right now that are jumping up and down saying me. Real, if I am not mistaken, I'm not with Real. But if I'm not mistaken, they should have some sort of an instant offers program. Most of the big brokerages like Real or EXP or LPT, most of them have or are putting together one.
I think it's in the works, but
Okay.
it's not fully developed yet. As you probably know, Real is up and coming. It's growing. I think we're up to about 22,000 members now.
Yeah.
Rise, our conference in Vegas next week, is going to probably help that. But I just haven't been able to find anyone in the system in the network that does this, and all of the, all of the instant offer companies, the big companies. Evansville, where I'm at, is just a little too small, so they
Mhm.
don't offer those services here. Like in
Yeah.
Indianapolis, you can go to OfferPad and all of those places.
Okay.
Evansville is just a little bit too small for that.
Okay.
Um,
Do you
so
have
it's
a RIA in your area?
a what?
A RIA, REIA?
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with them, so I'd
Okay.
have to check that out.
Look up RIA and then just put Evansville, REIA,
Okay.
Evansville or Southern Indiana. I'd almost be willing to put serious money down that there's a RIA meeting locally that you
Okay.
could plug into and meet a bunch of small investors that are onesie twosie people. Go
Okay.
get 7 or 8 of them. You'll meet 7 or 8 at a local meeting. If
Okay.
there's not a branch meeting in Evansville, just go to Indianapolis or go
Okay.
somewhere, go to Louisville, and you'll get people that'll go there. And it doesn't matter if they're just onesie twosie investors. Business is made up of a lot of them, so you're probably going to have a bunch of them that'll be cash investors.
Okay.
And then last one that I would probably check out would be Zoodealio. I think they charge.
So my previous broker, I worked for a small independent broker,
Mhm.
and they used Zoodealio, but it didn't go over very well, so they discontinued their services here as well. But
Their offers are pretty low.
Yeah, they were only partnered with the independent broker that I worked with,
Mhm.
and I don't think they did a very good job of really promoting it on Zoodealio's behalf. So I think that's kind of why that partnership went away as well.
Yeah.
That was an independent broker of about 50 agents, so it wasn't like Keller Williams or someone in the area. It was a small indie. So, but while I have your ear as well, as far as
Before you go on, hey,
divorce,
just 1 second before you go on. The other group I'll tell you to look for. I know there is a pretty active RIA in Paducah, so you might have to go across the bridge and go to a meeting there. But I know that there is a pretty fair size Western Kentucky investment group in Paducah, so you may want to look for that as well. And
okay, great.
sure, they'll do business. I'm sure they don't mind crossing the river.
Now I know you guys. I appreciate that. And before I forget to say this, I do appreciate being here. I appreciate the invite. I know you deal primarily with probate, and I think you're getting into, or you've already got into the divorce side of it. That is an underserved niche here in my area as well, and that's why I'm wanting to get into it. So, any resources that you guys can email me or get me on a group chat or whatever you want to do, I would love to find out more information and becoming a partner with you guys and getting into that side of things as well. So,
Awesome, and we will definitely reach out to you and do that. We are growing our support information, and we also sent you information just now in regard to Dave Gwynn, and Dave is someone who works in your market now and is interested in talking with you. So we already
okay,
got
perfect.
somebody to
I appreciate that. Okay, well, I appreciate that. I do. I'd like to. So I worked for that other broker for 2.5 years, and I realized that I needed to get out on my own and start my own thing, to do things a certain way, and I need all the help I can get to build that. I'm highly productive. I'm about to close my 100th transaction in just over 2.5 years, so I've done pretty well. But I was giving all my money away to them. That's why I joined Real, and it's when you start your own thing, it's hard to get going. So I could use all the help I could get.
Only other thing I'd add is that if you find a nice deal on some raw land of 40 acres or more, I've got a buddy it's literally in Evansville who's looking right now. So if you find something like that that's a good deal, let me know.
Well, I've got some people around here that I know are trying to sell some land. Is it for hunting or
No,
recreational or?
no, they want agricultural use. They literally are looking.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I'm sort of halfway in the goat business. My wife raises dairy goat, and they want to add a goat farm in that area in Evansville.
Well, if you send me a way to get a hold of you, Tim, I would love to do some research and see what I can find for you.
Simple, Tim at All the Leads.
Perfect. That's easy enough. Even I can remember that.
That's Jim has trouble with it. I don't know. Maybe better. No,
All
that's
right. Well, I will get off. I'm going to continue listening. I didn't mean to interrupt for so long. So
no, great hearing from you. Guys, we've snuck up on the top of the hour here. It's an exciting day for us. We'll be looking forward next week to having a drawing for the 500 on the 501st. We'll be drawing for the 500th, and we're excited about that. Lissa, you wanted to comment on that? Fire away there, kiddo.
Yes, I just wanted to remind everyone, if you haven't had a chance yet to drop your name and email in the chat to get your extra entry, go ahead and do that now. I'll leave the chat open for a couple extra minutes when we end the call. And then I just reposted the link again to fill the form out so you can get another entry there. And if for some reason you don't click it now, the link to that form is also in the reminder email that went out for the podcast today, so you can access it there. And then, like we mentioned, any new subscription added between now and next Thursday's call gets you another entry as well. So definitely take advantage of all those options, and we look forward to seeing who wins.
Good enough. And I just from a personal standpoint want to say thank you to certainly all the people that are on here and all the people who, we get a lot more eyes and ears on this podcast, not just on the live side of it, but we get tons of people who listen after, and there's also a whole bunch of you on Facebook Live and the other places that people are getting it now. And we thank you for being with us on this journey. This is, we didn't do this just for fun for ourselves. It's been an interesting 500 weeks of doing this. And if I let Jim tell you, he'll say we've been doing it for half a century. So I won't say that, but since 2014, we really kind of got rolling with this. It's been over 10 years since we started, and we've built this around you. We had no idea when we began this. Jim's idea that he had was, let's go sell some probate leads and we'll see what we can do. And that has spawned a, pretty fair sized company with a lot of folks and a lot of hearts and minds supporting your efforts over these years. And we've got a great team of people and, 30 plus folks that spend all day, every day working for you, working real hard to get that done. And, we're not just a lead company, we're a systems company, and we've been doing it for a while. We think we're about the best there is at it. And we appreciate you being part of it and joining us on the journey. Jimmy?
Yes, sir. Ditto everything Tim just said. I started the call by saying thank you to all of our loyal subscribers. We have over 150 people that have been with us since the beginning. I just saw Sandra Glasser's giving us a thumbs up and now a heart. Sandra was there on day one. So, and there's a number of you, but whether you've been with us for 10 years or you're brand new, we're here to help you. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I thank all of our coaches. I want to thank everybody who actively participated. And I want to end this call the way I always do. Take one idea that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next week for our 501st call and share the results with us. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for being here. Take care.